Okay, at least I know how to do this. Okay. So then the next part of this conflict is who or what is stopping your character from getting what she or he needs. So in the case of this image, what's stopping the character, let's call the character this little girl, what's stopping the character from getting what she needs?
The jar.
The jar.
Her moral restraint for not taking cookies.
Her height. She's clearly very short.
Excellent. Okay, so here's a whole bunch of things. Moral authority, she's too short, the jar, the parent putting it up on a shelf. There's a bunch of different things, right? That's right. But then there's a third thing. And the third thing is this. Why does your reader care? Right? And so in this case, I wrote some answers, but you guys, for example, in the previous thing, you had a bunch of different reasons. Your reader loves cookies. Your reader cares because they love Cookie Monster. Your reader cares because they feel like cookies are unfairly kept from her too. Or your reader cares because they own shares in a cookie company. Or your reader is a cookie and is worried, right? So those things are all valid reasons why that conflict of not being able to get the cookie would matter to the reader. So when you're thinking about your stories, which all of you read a little bit, or rather some of you who were here early in the beginning, you read the things that they want, but then you have to ask yourself also, what does my reader care? Why would my reader care about this? And if they wouldn't care, it's not a conflict, or rather it's a conflict, but it's not one that matters too much. So that's kind of important to think about, right? So here we go. Here's the next thing. Let's take a look. Is this a conflict? So there's two characters, character A and character B. And character A, my two fingers. Character A says, I love you. Character B says, I love you too. Character A says, I love you more. Character B says, I love you better. Is that conflict?
Yes, because if they're threatening each other with knives while doing so.
Oh, okay. But again, remember the big circle and the little circle? So you just plopped that conflict into the little circle. But if it was in the big circle but not the little circle, is it conflict?
I mean, maybe that's more like lesser conflict. That's just for entertainment.
Maybe. What do you think? Edison or Aiden or Elise or James, what do you think? Is this conflict?
I don't think so, I would say.
Right? If it's two characters who want something different, do these two characters, my two fingers, do they want something different?
No,
I love you. I love you more. They want the same thing. So is it conflict?
No.
No, it's not conflict. So, okay, let's go to the next one and see if you can figure this one out. Good job. Here it is, next one. How about this one? Is this conflict? Two fingers?
Yeah.
I love you. You smell funny. Or, I love you. I think you're weird. Is this conflict?
Yeah.
I don't know, they sound like a married
Something
couple.
opposite.
Yes, this is conflict because they want something different. Character A says, I love you, meaning I want to hear from you, I love you, or I want that connection. And character B says, no, thank you. You smell funny. So that's a disconnection, right? That breaks apart. So when you have, like, remember I said to write your little dialogue like fencing, like it's somebody having a fencing match. Two people who want different things. Person A wants to say, I love you, and person B says, you smell funny, right? That's conflict, and that's really interesting when you write that because it tells us something about the characters. All right, let's go to the next thing. Boop. So conflict looks like this. These goats, right? The goats are butting heads. But they're also standing on a whole bunch of other goats, a whole bunch of other arguments. And there are even goats in red behind the first goats. And so that's like, hang on a second, I wrote this down because I will not be able to remember this off by heart. 1 second. What that's like is when you say something to your family like this. I wish my brother would wash the dishes. So that's like, I hope you guys can see my little arrow here.
Yeah, I see it.
These goats, right? Yeah. Here's Goat on the top, and he says, I wish my brother would wash the dishes. But then down here in the red zone is this other unspoken wish. And the unspoken wish would be, I wish my mother noticed how much work I do for her and how little my brother does. Right? So sometimes the small wish, why aren't you washing the dishes, is there's a bigger wish behind it. And in fact, that makes for really interesting conflict. So let's go back for a second to Brenda. Brenda, is there a deeper unspoken wish or need behind your character's wish to be involved with the monsters?
Well, my character saw people getting. She didn't want the fairy to get hurt, so maybe she like saw she's seen bad things happen, and she wants to prevent more bad, and she wants to have something to control in her life or something like that.
Excellent. So the more you think about that, the more this kind of the red zone, I'm going to call it the red zone, will end up kind of putting pressure. You can see how these goats kind of push together. The more that these red zone, the hidden zone in the story, pushes on the outside zone, the more interesting it gets.
Yeah.
How about you? Yeah. How about you? Go ahead, Brenda.
And her mom has had family that's fought monsters, and it has not ended well. So she doesn't want her, and she's scared that her daughter might be getting involved in it. So she wants to stop it before anything bad happens.
Yeah, excellent. So there's been loss. There's been, let's use the word again, disconnection that's caused pain in the family. So yeah, she doesn't want to repeat it. Now, is it Rafael? Is your name Rafael? For some reason, it's not coming up.
Raphael.
Yeah.
Raphael? Raphael,
Yeah.
can you talk to me a little bit about the red zone in your story? The hidden zone.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know what to say actually about my story about the red zone.
Mm-hmm. Can you think like, what are the bigger things? Like your character says, well, he just wants to go to town. He doesn't necessarily want a dog. Maybe he does want a dog, but he doesn't even know what he wants in his own life.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about the red zone. Why doesn't he know? Why doesn't he know?
What he wants in his life? I didn't thought about that so much. I don't know actually.
So give it some thought, because you know what, you're right on target with the dialogue piece. It's really like a great fencing match. So if you can give some thought to this red zone, to the part that's like the hidden part, also putting pressure in the story. Edison or Aiden or Elise or James, do you guys have a little bit of your story that you'd like to read out loud?
Or if you have ideas about how to help Raphael, it would be good too.
Are you there?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Wendy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Hi, James. Yeah.
We're having some internet trouble. We can't seem to log into Zoom on his computer, so we're on the phone, which is weird.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
Sorry about it.
But he wrote, and he's very excited to share. So hang on, I'm going to put him on.
It's really, really good.
Oh, yay, James, I'm so excited for you. Let's hear it.
A trillion? Okay, go ahead.
All right. Chapter 2. Stop, watch, and listen. Wait, do you remember my story with Kevin and stuff?
I do remember your story.
This time, Kevin didn't hear the faint tinkling of the downstairs piano. In fact, he didn't hear anything out of the ordinary. Kevin was a little worried that the piano wasn't playing this time, so he went downstairs to investigate. The piano then started playing an what's that word say? Unintelligible song, which made him feel comfortable. What in the world is wrong with the piano? He thought to himself. That's when he looked at the score sheet. Kevin started to tremble in fear. His mind began to wander. He tried to make himself think he was dreaming or hallucinating. It didn't work. On the score sheet was a message in music notes which said, "Go away." Kevin felt like he was being watched. He felt very uneasy and skeptical. He then ran into his room and hid under the covers, not even going to his parents on the way. Kevin tried to fall asleep but couldn't. He then spent the rest of the night under the covers, shaking in fear. The next morning, Kevin ate breakfast, got ready for school, and jumped into the car. When Kevin saw Jackson, he just walked past him. "Dude?" said Jackson, slightly concerned. Kevin didn't even turn back to look at him. "What's bothering you, dude?" asked Jackson. Kevin just gave him a blank, awkward stare and said, "I don't want to talk about it." "Why do you keep ignoring me, dude? Is something wrong?" asked Jackson. "I said I don't want to talk about it," replied Kevin, slightly annoyed. Kevin then walked over to his desk, slowly, slower than everyone else. Why does he want to know? Kevin thought to himself. He's just going to think I'm insane. Kevin didn't pay attention in class. When teacher called on him, he didn't even look up. Kevin's teacher got slightly annoyed. Does
All right.
anyone...
James, pause right there, okay, so that everybody gets a turn. That's excellent so far. So you have your character Kevin, who wants to connect with the piano, but the piano has said to him, "Go away. I don't want any part of you." And even Kevin himself tells other people, "Go away." So in your story, there's lots and lots of disconnection, right? You already have that written into your story. Well done. Are you there?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. So very well done to get those things in there. So like let's, you can't, or can you see? Can you see my little picture of the goats butting heads?
Uh-huh.
Good. So in the case of your story, you have Kevin reaching out to the piano. That's like this goat right up here, right? He's reaching out, but the piano butts heads and says, "Go away." And then you have characters reaching out to Kevin, and Kevin says, "Go away." Right? So you have both of those things happening. But now I'm going to ask you a big question, and it's a hard question. See if you can figure it out. Don't figure it out now while I'm talking with you, but like give it some thought during the week. So see the red zone? See the red zone of the goats?
Wait.
All those hidden goats?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? I have a big question. Why doesn't the piano want to talk to Kevin? And a different question on the other side, why doesn't Kevin want to talk to his friends? Okay, so you think about those questions because those are the big things that are kind of pushing on the story even more than you already have it. And you did a great job there. That's beautiful writing. Well done. How about Edison or Aiden or Elise?
It's somebody else's turn.
Why can't I?
It's somebody else's turn now.
James? Did he want to say more? James? Where did he go?
That's okay. Wendy, Brenda, Edison, Elise, anybody wants to talk, please help. Unmute yourselves. Hello?
I will if everybody else is gone.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Next to you.
I have for my dialogue, which I will build, my surface goats, my white goats, are that Liza wants Bethany to say where she's been and why she's hiding, and Bethany does not want to share because she wants to feel safe. My red goats, for them is Liza has a deeper wish of connecting to Bethany because solving the mystery has taken the place as a way of showing her value. So she wants the success of solving the mystery. And Bethany has a deeper wish of being safe with Liza because her whole village got wiped out. So she's got the fear versus lonely conflict going on.
Wendy, that's great. Fantastic. Okay, so next week, though, I want to get the actual dialogue happening so that we can talk about the real
Yes.
dialogue, not just like
Yes.
the underpinnings of it. So that's
Of
great.
course. Yeah, of course.
All right, so there's James, and who's this young man? Young man in yellow shirt. Who is this?
Edison.
Edison.
Me.
Do you have some story for us, Edison? A little bit of dialogue?
Yes. Let me get it in docs. Hold on. Okay, so my story is about the queen who tries to freeze herself.
Yes,
And,
I remember your story.
Her name is Queen Martha. And so Queen Martha said, Dean, bring me my dinner, please. Dean says, yes, Your Highness, right away. Queen Martha rings her bell. Chop, chop, I want my dinner nice and fresh. From the kitchen, I am bringing it now. The queen servant comes back into the queen's room and bows. Your lamb chops, ma'am. Queen Martha, this is good. Sorry? I said this is good. They're a little cold. Do you have any mariners? Oh, yes. You're welcome, Your Highness. I really think that in the future they will have better lamb chops. Oh, I think it'll be much bigger than lamb chops. There will be things that fly around and go so fast you get the chills. What about you? I personally would like to go into the past. I did not have as many people trying to kill each other every day.
Aha. So, in your story, you have two wishes, the queen's wish and the servant's wish. Do you know what those two are? Could you say them?
Yes, the servant's wish is to go into the past, and the queen's wish is to go into the future.
Aha. And are those butting heads like the two goats in the picture? Or are they just sort of ships that pass the night? They don't really impact each other.
Yes, they impact each other because they start like they're not really respecting each other's decisions and like and they're arguing about it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So if you were going to make that even more like a fencing match, and you were going to kind of show that they're a bit annoyed with each other, when he first brings the food, when she says, bring me my food, if he wasn't feeling so happy with her, what might he say instead of, oh yes, of course, right away, Your Majesty? What might he say instead?
Well, no, this is before he like states the idea that he wants to go into the past. Like this is before they're arguing. But this is when he says at the end he says he wants to go into the past. And so and then from that point forward they are not on the they're really arguing a lot and
Yes. So what might she say when he says, I want to go into the past? I'm excited about going into the past. What does she say back to him?
Well, that fills up the page, but she says, are you crazy? Living in the future will be much better because they have technology.
Okay, there you go. Good. So that's good, right? Because that's what you're looking for in dialogue, which is dialogue is the same thing as a scene. When people are talking to each other, you really want them to have opposite wants. And so you get to that part sooner, it's more interesting.
I think that if on the next page and she like states some of the things that she thinks might happen in the future, like right now, like they might even have things that roll around without horses. Like
yeah. That's good. Yeah. So like if you want to work like a writer does, the writer thinks ahead, jumps ahead to the place where the conflict is happening. All the stuff that's just like, oh, sure, I'll get your food, no problem, where they're kind of not in conflict. Those things, the writer jumps over them and gets right away to the part where they're disagreeing about something. Because that's the more exciting and interesting part of the story. So if you can, see if you can like just jump right over it and get right to the part where they're not happy with each other anymore.
Okay.
Good job. James or Aiden or Elise, do you guys have, or James we already heard from, or Aiden or Elise, do you guys have something that you wanted to add or talk about?
Hello?
Yeah, I could read mine.
Is that Elise?
Okay,
Aiden.
Aiden, you want to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my story is about Johnny the dinosaur that wanted to find friends.
Yes.
All right. So he wanted to be human. So here, Johnny's neighbor. There is an old lady that lives in a house that's pretty far. But if you want to become a human, you can go over there. Johnny said, yes, of course. I'll do anything to become a human. And then once he got there, he said, or Johnny, the old lady said, oh, there's some mistakes in my thing. So I'm not. Oh. Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes. I have to fix it all. Can you come back to
Don't
me?
worry,
maybe?
Aiden. It's fine. Yes, it's totally fine. We can hear you next week when you have it all like kind of straightened out how you want it to be.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
Okay. Thank you.
That's okay. But I look forward to hearing it next week, though. And I think we didn't hear from Elise. Elise, did you have something that you wanted to say?
No, I don't think so, but well, I don't have a lot of dialogue in my story, and so there isn't much of a conflict in my story, so I'm not exactly sure.
Can you remind us about your
I
story?
want you to,
My story is about a boy named Augustus. He wants his family to believe in him to do great things like join the army and do all these great things, but his family doesn't think that he can because he was so yeah.
at least you do have conflict in your story. That's conflict right there, right? Your character wants to go do great things, but the family doesn't believe in them. That's conflict. That's very good conflict, in fact. That's a major conflict in the world. So well done. All right, so next week, if you have a little bit of dialogue between, let's say, your main character and a family member, where your main character says, I want to go out and I want to succeed in the world. And the family member says, no, that's not going to happen in whatever way that they do it. I'd like to hear that from you next week. Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Fabulous. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes, and I wanted to try a little exercise with you all that I think would be fun. I'm hoping it would be fun. So here it is. So this is a little exercise to help you practice being a mean writer, being what writers do, which is they kind of mess with their characters. And so mess with these two people. So here, this is a classic story. It's actually probably, I want to say, about a third of all stories ever written. This is the idea right here. So one character says, I think I'm falling in love with you. And then the other character says something else, right? And remember how in the beginning we had the two little puppet fingers, and one said, I love you, and the other one said, I love you more. And we decided, guess what? That's not conflict. And then we went to, I love you, you smell funny. That was conflict. So I want you to see if you could write a couple of really funny responses, or just like disconnecting responses to I think I'm falling in love with you. Is that all right? You want to see if you can try that? See if you can figure out what would be something funny, or just a disconnecting response, a conflicted response to that. And it shouldn't take you too long. It's just a couple of sentences, and then we'll read them out loud and see how they go. Sound all right?
So Goldie, only you can see it. I can't quite see
Oh,
who's gonna raise.
I got one.
Yay, okay. Did you
I
read
got
yours
one
out
too.
then?
Yeah. Wait, me or
Okay, Brenda, you can start and then
Go
Rafa.
ahead, Brenda.
okay. Ah, that's so funny, friend. That's a good one. That you're so funny. That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. Friend.
Oh, I thought you would. Oh, I see now. Okay, yes, that's very good. Excellent, right? Because that immediately says, I'm not on the same page as you. Because really, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the thing that makes the other person go, oh, whoa, what I want isn't what you want. Excellent. Okay. And I know, Raphael, you had one too, right?
Yes.
Raphael, would you read yours out?
Yeah, really, are you in love with me? I'm not. That's pretty weird to ask me that you dropped that to say, I'm in love with you. I was a bit surprised when you told me that. It was so unintended.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. That's perfect. Right? And that actually is the same kind of thing that happens in your dog story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Good job. Somebody else, you want to raise your hand? Somebody else got an idea? I'm not sure who that is in the yellow shirt.
Edison.
Edison.
So she says, I think I'm falling in love with you. And he says, I think I'm going to throw you in a volcano.
Oh, very dramatic. That one might end up in the little teeny tiny circle in the middle. Good job. Good job, Edison. Wendy, do you have one? I can't see you.
I had to unmute. Sorry. I have 4. Do you want them all or just one?
All of them, go for it.
Okay. So the first one is, who are you talking to?
Yeah, Al.
The second one is, that's sweet. Thanks. The third one is, but you're dating my sister.
Oh, that's sad.
And the fourth one is, je ne parle pas français, anglais. Je ne parle pas anglais.
Exactly. Okay, so those are all great, Wendy. Good job.
I came up with a couple more.
Okay, Aiden.
Yeah, alright. Well, I don't like how you do your hair, so we can't be together.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Who else?
James, do you have?
Go ahead, James.
Well, in the little thingy, dude is saying, I think I'm falling in love with you. And then the girl says, I think I'm falling in hate with you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's definitely a conflict.
That's nice.
Well done, James.
Dramatic.
Brenda, I'm going to get you right after Elise. Let's see if Elise says something, and then we'll go back to Brenda. Elise?
Yeah. So the dude says, I think I'm falling in love with you. And she says, I think I'm falling in love with your brother.
Oh! Very good. And Brenda, then, what's your last one there?
Well, I came up with another two. I think I'm falling in love with you. I'm dating your sister.
Ah.
And the second one is, if only there was someone out there who loved you.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. So you're all experts right now in this idea that when you have a dialogue, you start with something, but then the person responds with their own wish or need that isn't a match for the first sentence. So this week, when you write a little bit of dialogue for me, I want you really to be thinking about how the first sentence doesn't match with the next sentence, and then it doesn't match with the sentence after that, right? Each one, you're kind of making sure that they don't connect properly. Because those are the things, like especially with each one of the characters, your characters in the story have very strong wishes. The dialogue comes in these ways that don't match up well. And that makes it really interesting because I find out a lot about my characters. I find out what they really, really want and also how they respond when they don't get it. Right? So like Brenda, I think you had maybe it was Brenda who said, I think I'm falling in love with you. And then the other character, the girl says, well, I think I'm falling in love with your brother. Maybe that wasn't Brenda. Was that you, Brenda?
I said sister. So
sister. I think I'm falling in love with your sister, right? So then we go back to this guy. What does he say now? Right? If he goes, oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's fine. Now you've lost the tension. Now you want to keep on going. What does he say now? Right? So that's what I'm hoping that you'll be able to do. Now we have just a few more minutes. So I want to go to, there we go. I'm going to skip that. And here's a little writing exercise that you could try during the week and see if you can do this one. So one day you find a zipper under your tongue, and when you unzip it, you find someone else is living inside you. That someone wants something diametrically opposed, that means not the same as, to something you really want. Unpack the consequences. So this is really every story. Every single story in the whole wide world is something really similar to this, where a character thinks they want something, and then as time goes on, they realize that deep down inside them, they want something else. Does that make sense? So like if you're able to practice, I want to stop.
Can we bring that back?
Oh, whoopsie.
Oh.
Okay. Let me do it again. I'll bring it back. So every story is really, let's see, let's go to this. Every story is really this story. Can you see that?
Yes.
The idea that there's a somebody inside you that wants something very different from what you think you want. So this is like your story, Raphael, which is Raphael with the dogs. So in Raphael's story with the dogs, the man thinks he doesn't want a dog. He's determined not to have a dog. Yeah. He's very lonely. He doesn't even know what he wants. Yeah. Right? And then let's talk about this story. He unzips underneath his tongue, and actually inside him is a person who wants connection, a person who wants a dog, or many dogs even. He wants to be connected. He wants to have love and affection in his life. Do you see how that works, guys? Yeah. Does that make sense?
It's just like with the red goat.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. The insides of things. So the insides of things are really important to the outside of the story. Well done. Does anybody have questions about what I just said or about this little exercise for you to work on when you're at home?
So people have asked if it's okay for you to put the slide on the site or only the parts that you kind of worked on so they can have a reference.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how to do that. How do I?
You just send it to me and then I'll get the person to put it up.
Yes.
Because only somebody who manages the site can do it.
I can send those to you, Raduca, no problem.
Thank you. And unless it's intellectual property and you don't want it.
No, I don't care. I want people to learn.
Okay.
I want
All
people
right.
to learn.
Great. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. You all did really, really well. This was fun. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Goldie.
Thank
And we'll
you.
see you next
Thank
week at the same time.
Next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
next week.
Bye. Bye, James.
Is
Bye.
Eric back next week?
Bye,
Yes,
people.
same time. Take care, Rafael. Bye-bye.
Bye.